Everybody had a fun week. Alex, could you not give me one week of getting sympathy? Like, just that's all I asked. Like a full 7 days of getting a little bit of pity before you had to get surgery on your thumb.
Listen, Tim, I didn't like all the attention you were getting. The amount of people that came up to me in the autograph session at the track, they were like, "Oh my God, how's Tim doing? How is he? Is he here? Oh, how's he feeling? Like, is he okay? Like, can I?"
By the way, I'm still in pain. If anybody's curious,
look, I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that.
Alex and I talked about it, and we're like, look, it is getting a little bit insane how much sympathy you're getting and attention you're getting. And so we rock, paper, scissors on
the
it.
old hammer. Yeah.
Right. It was either going to be I fell down the stairs of the pedestrian crossing, or Alex was going to take one for the team in the car, and he lost rock, paper, scissors. It was 2-3. I won with rock. Anyway, appreciate you taking the bullet for that one because it was getting ridiculous.
It was getting kind of dumb, but then
I'm
again,
out of extra organs, by the way. The next one's going to be important. I can maybe lose a kidney.
You don't need all your lungs. Like you can slice off a chunk of your lungs and still be good. I think liver too. You've got some room.
I did appreciate the note from the doctor because they saw my liver. They're like, yeah, liver looked good. It's like, okay. Always curious.
Tim, the amount of times that you bring up how good your liver looks
because it's shocking.
Unprompted is very concerning. And it makes me think that your liver actually isn't that good, but you're just laying the foundation for if at one point you have liver problems that you're like, well, I didn't know.
I didn't see it coming.
I wonder what you'll break then.
Listen, while we're on the topic, As everyone knows, I broke my thumb in a race car on Friday.
You should have just kept turning right.
I should have just kept turning right. I regret many things. I've been
sitting on that one all week.
I regret many things about the incident. Number one is not letting go of the steering wheel, which I usually do. But quite honestly, guys, I thought it was going to be okay. I thought we were going to just get away with a bent toe link or broken wing or something. Alas, we did not. I hate myself for it, but the good news is this. It's a thumb, not a hand or a wrist or an arm.
Still pretty important though in grabbing wheels and stuff.
That's fair.
It turns out those evolutionary scientists had it right. The opposable thumb.
It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Yep. Surgery was on Sunday. They were able to put in 3 screws without needing to cut me open, which is amazing. Which means,
wait, what?
Oh yeah,
my cast went straight through the skin.
Sure did, which means my cast comes off today, which is we're recording on Wednesday.
And so you barely even had surgery, and I lost my sympathy. You son of a bitch.
I mean, I still have metal in my body, but okay.
How many incisions? I had 6 incisions.
Yeah, he actually had twice as many incisions as he needed. So Tim almost had 2 surgeries.
Mine were like 3 little pilot holes. You know when you're like hanging a heavy object in drywall and you gotta like put the anchor in and then the screw. I had the little pilot hole and then the screw got shipped in there and then some little wound glue.
So is the like the head of the screw sitting above the skin? Like,
of course not, James.
That would be awesome, though. You just see like a little Phillips head screw head.
That would be pretty cool. It would be funnier if it was one of those proprietary screw heads like they put on some gaming consoles. It's like, well, I can't unscrew it. I don't have an 8-point star screw.
Smart.
So yeah, it's pretty amazing that I'm able to have a cast come off 3 days after surgery. So pretty thankful for that. Excited about that, and that means rehab and such starts today. And
how are we looking for Gateway?
Fine.
All right. So that's
So because people were asking me at the track, like, when is he going to be back?
Comes off. today.
No, I know. But I saw people asking me at the track, when's he going to be back? And then I saw on Twitter, somebody's like, there's no way he's going to make it back this season. And I told everybody that you died in surgery. So I didn't know where it was, but I was just like, no, he's going to be fine by Gateway.
Based on TK's tweet, you might have thought I died in surgery.
Yes. It was very sweet. He's an emotional guy.
He's a very nice. I love it. It means a lot to me, but it was a lot.
It was very heartfelt, very heartfelt. So the questions people want to know are you in pain? Well, did it hurt when it happened? Are you still in pain? And then what's the prognosis for what does recovery and rehab look like? What's the schedule for that?
Did it hurt when it happened? Yes, it hurt very bad.
Did you know instantly where you're like,
yes,
that's broken?
Yes. When I couldn't,
and this was your first break, right?
This is my first real break of my life. Yeah.
Because you had some ribs.
I've had some rib issues, but you can't really do anything about those. No, this is the first time that in a singular impact instance, the ribs are repetitive use in go-karts, right? So this was the first time that I've actually, yes. I knew right away. It didn't feel good. I didn't like any of the experience. It's amazing how much better it feels now that it's straight and the bone is screwed back together. I can move it inside the cast, which is pretty cool. And if you think about the bone that it is, I'm very fortunate that it's not the metacarpal or anything. It's literally the bone that is, if you look at your thumb, the vertical bone that's between the two joints.
The lower thumb bone. Yeah.
Right.
I wonder that's got to have a name.
It does.
I would assume it has a name. Yes.
It definitely has a name. So fortunately, it really just deals with.
Sorry, my watch heard us.
Oh. Fortunately, it just deals with the flexion, so the bending of it, and a lot of your grip strength comes from actually your palm, the bottom part of your thumb. So as soon as the range of motion and being able to wrap it semi-securely comes back, which is obviously it's impossible to predict because it's based on swelling and pain management and all that sort of thing. But the good thing, again, that I have going for me is this has only been isolated, not been able to move for what's going to be 5 days. So I don't think there's going to be that much kind of decay that sets in from lack of movement. Cause a lot of times when, you have atrophy and everything in your muscles and your bones, it's because it's 3, 4, 5 weeks, right, of immobility.
You're sitting idle,
4 or 5 days, and all of the rest of my fingers have been able to.
I'm immobile for 4 or 5 days just because there was a long weekend. So this is you're
right.
By the way, you broke your proximal phalanx.
That's what he said. That's what the doctor said. So I'm glad he knew.
I'm glad that those two things lined up. That what Tim Googled and what the doctor said were the same.
Yep. And then, the only other thing that I'm going to talk about is how wild of a trip anesthesia is. Dude, it's so crazy.
I hate it.
It's so crazy that they can just control you being on or off.
It's a funny way of looking at it.
Yeah. I love Alex. It's what?
James, you joked about when I went under, see how far you get in the countdown from 10.
I got to say,
I don't think I made it past 10. I think it was
7's my record. Every time I've tried to do it, every time I'm I'm gonna do it this time. I'm so gonna do it. I'm gonna count so fast. We're gonna get it. All right, James, count backwards from.
Yeah, I joked with the anesthesiologist. I was like, my friend said I should see how far I get. He goes, yeah, everybody tries, nobody wins.
But it's crazy to me that so I had a pretty minor wrist surgery. Hold on, I have to yell at my dog. Diane, stop licking.
Didn't mute it. He tried to mute it, didn't mute it.
By the way, I'm just going to say it right now, leaving it in.
Oh, 100%.
Stop licking, Diane.
Hey, Dee Dee.
The best is when you see him look down to hit mute, and then he's like, "Okay, got it." Diane.
It's okay. You're not in trouble. Okay. So I had a pretty minor wrist operation like in 2018, 2019, that they put me out for, but I didn't remember this part of it. So this one, I had a little bit more anxiety going into it because there was more pressure for it to go right, and I was more upset and all of this sort of thing. So
no, general anesthesia terrifies me.
Okay, Tim, I'm talking. So they roll me.
I was agreeing with you. Oh,
they roll me into,
He's still talking.
They roll me into the room, and I was like, man, I'm starting to feel a little like lightheaded. And after the incident on Friday was the first time ever in my life where I was like, thought I might pass out. So like I was in the medical trailer, and like it was very difficult for me to kind of understand everything that was going on. So I had to sit down. They had to like put ice towels on my head or whatever. So fast forward to this operation on Sunday, and it was the same sort of feeling. And I was like, is something wrong? Like, is this bad that I'm like lightheaded and not nauseous, but you kind of get that weird feeling. So I spoke up about it, and he was like, no, dude, you're good. People kill on the streets for that feeling. Just enjoy it. I was like, oh,
it's drugs. Got it.
Oh, wow.
Got it. I can't believe his response was people kill on the streets for that feeling. That's kind of messed up.
I was going to say, I don't know if I want that type
but
of...
it was a little bit comforting for me because I was like, this is supposed to happen. It's okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That is fair. That is very funny. I think it's crazy that like you do that countdown, right? And then you're out, you blink, and then you literally feel like you blinked and then open your eyes, and it could be 6 hours later. Like, so it's not like when you have a good sleep, you know, it's like, I feel like I've been in bed for a while.
The first thing I said was I got to 7.
How was your wake up? Because like some people are super groggy after, and it takes some people just wake up.
No, I was fine. They like wheeled a wheelchair over, and I was like, absolutely not. They're like, well, you're gonna have to stand up and prove that you can like walk around. And I was like, I'll walk around on one foot before I'm going out in a wheelchair. Anyways,
it was a thumb. Walk out.
Yeah. No, it's the drugs though, right? Because like I remember when I got my wisdom teeth out, you know, they put you out for that. And they're like, make sure somebody drives you to your appointment because you won't be able to drive home. I remember waking up from that and being like, I could totally drive home. No problem. This is such a waste of time. I'm sorry, Mom, you had to come for this. And then on the drive home, I was like, oh no, like was coming out of my mouth. I'm like, I should not be driving a car right now. This was the right call.
Eating your tongue, just like so numb.
Trees are green and pretty. It was like, I was so out of, but like if in that moment, I'm like, are you cool to drive? Like, yeah, no, I'm fine. Would have been very bad.
How many times have you been put under, James? I feel like you probably have the record for the podcast.
So many that I can count, and I won't include the initial Indy crash surgery because like, I think I was out from like the concussion. I don't remember going out for that one.
I wonder if they still put you under, like just to make sure you don't wake up.
Well, I mean, waking up in the middle of having my abdomen sliced open. But like, so fine. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Jesus.
I can count 7 off the top of my head.
So 3 more and you get a free one.
Are we including dental?
Yeah, I included my wisdom teeth. So yeah.
Okay, so me is 1, 2, 3, 4. This was my 4th.
All right, so that's not bad.
I'm at 4 as well. By the way, because you just had the thumbs up thing happen on the screen. Do you guys realize how often we've talked about thumbs on this podcast? Like somebody pointed out that we started last week's episode with thumbs up. Obviously,
that was the best.
But we had a whole one about doing thumb exercises. Like,
ooh, I might need to listen to that one.
Yeah. Thumb Olympics coming up. Here we go.
This has been a weirdly thumb-centric podcast.
Very thumb-oriented. Yeah. So just sorry, I was gonna get this off my chest, and then we'll eventually talk about the race. But you were talking about driving home. And I had to drive here to do this podcast, and I was a few minutes late. And there's a reason. Guys, Range Rovers are
Bond
dumb.
Villain.
Because I'm petting my animal.
Yes.
I like how he still didn't mute it, but he took his headset off and walked away as if we couldn't still hear him yelling, Diane.
Just gotta stop licking.
I do want him to hear this though, because I don't know if he knows about this. You got to leave all this in. You have to leave all of this in. This is too good. This is too funny. So
Sorry, he's still coming down from this surgery, you know.
That's fair.
Diane was now eating Brunner's food. What are you doing?
I'm having dinner. I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Bono wasn't eating food. Diane wants food.
I just don't understand dogs that leave food. Teddy would never.
Okay.
I'm
sorry.
I mean, Oz does it all the time. No, you're good. So we're up at the cottage, which I'm so happy about. I love it up here. And after Toronto, we got to come up. So we're hanging out up here. And we went to go we were renting a boat. We went to go rent like a pontoon boat. So we drove up to the marina to rent the boat, and then we were going to, come back. And originally we were going to go with enough time that I was going to drive the boat back, but then things got complicated. And so it's faster it's like 5 minutes to drive and 25 minutes to boat back to the cottage. So I was like, all right, I'm going to need to drive home because I got this podcast. So Evan, my brother-in-law, was like, yeah, no worries. So he gives me the keys to his Range Rover. So I get in the car, and we're parked at the marina on a hill, kind of right in front of a boat on a trailer, right? I fire up the engine and put it into drive, or put it in reverse, and then the car rolls forward a foot, and then the engine dies. Like, that was weird. This is a brand new Range Rover. Like, that's weird. I spend like 2 minutes trying to get the thing started again, hitting the button, opening the door, like accessories on, off, brake, foot on the brake, whatever. Get the engine started again. I'm like, all right, that was weird. Put it in reverse, rolls forward, again, on a hill, forward a foot, engine dies. I'm like, what the f***? These British cars, man, this is brutal. So Evan is now on the boat, gone. And I'm like, okay, this is embarrassing. There's something I'm missing here. Like, the car guy having to call and be like, hey, man, how did you start your car? Try it again. This time I'm like, let me just try putting it in drive. Maybe there's something wrong with reverse. Put it in drive. Rolls forward a foot. Engine dies. I'm like, what the f-? Now I'm on Google, who sells shirts, by the way, and trying to figure out what is happening here. Can't figure it out. Running out of time. I call Evan. Evan doesn't answer. I text Marvin, who's on the boat with him. Tell him, like, please tell Evan to call me. Evan calls me. He's like, oh, man, I'm so sorry. I forgot to tell you. I was like, forgot to tell me what? And he goes, here's what you need to do. And he listed off this string of instructions that lasted about a minute. And when he was done, like, I let him finish because it was so long. I was waiting for him to finish. And when he was done, I'm like, you're with me, right? Like, that's not a thing. Apparently Range Rovers get stolen so much. There's like a secret, like, Sega Genesis, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, AABB, up, down, left, right, +1 hack that you have to punch in to various buttons from the driver's seat of a Range Rover in order to get the thing to start. So here is my suggestion to anybody that's ever needed to start a car quickly in an emergency situation. Don't buy a Range Rover. It was insane. I was stuck in I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to start it.
I feel like if you're somebody who steals Range Rovers, and, I'm not judging you, everybody's got to make their living their own way. You probably know how to do that. Like, you probably know.
Of course.
I don't know. I'm imagining like Nicolas Cage in Gone in 60 Seconds. He would know how to do that. And correct. I assume everybody who steals cars is like that.
They would have figured it out pretty quick.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
They would have figured it out pretty quick. Like, I intentionally did not tell you what the sequence of buttons was on this show because I don't want to be held responsible for anybody's Range Rover getting stolen. But I'm like, if you have the key.
Yeah.
You've already stolen the key. Take the car.
Yeah, that's
insurance can deal with it. It's insane. It's insane. It was but here's what was bad. It's like, because like I said, I'm parked on a hill in front of a parked boat. on a trailer. And every time I tried to start it, it rolled forward a foot. I had maybe two tries left before I was going to crash into the boat. So I was it. I couldn't take any more risks. Had to call Evan. Figured it out. Got here. Only a little bit late. But yeah, very, very disappointed in the Range Rover experience. It's a shame because it's a gorgeous car. Drives very nice.
I did hear that, especially in Europe, and I wonder if this has transferred over to Canada, that people, like you can't buy them unless you self-insure them. So they were getting stolen so often in England and Europe that's the reason. Now I know a couple people that have the new one in the States and this doesn't apply. So I wonder if Canada is kind of on that, if the insurance companies kind of took the European route and they're just trying to protect. It's like, you don't have to self-insure, but if you want to be insured through us, this is kind of what you have to have.
This is the new deal. Yeah. I'm surprised.
I mean, people, $150,000 cars that insurance companies weren't touching.
That's crazy. I wonder why we're not yet at the point where we can have like fingerprint identification in the car, right? So you can like an old iPhone, right? You can put in up to 3 people. And then if your friend needs to drive it, when you do it, your phone pings and says an unauthorized person is trying to start your car. Do you approve it? And you hit yes, and off you go.
God, I can't. But okay, this is dumb. But what if you're in a parking garage and you don't have phone service?
Then don't borrow your buddy's car.
No, but I mean, what if you're trying to start your car in a parking garage?
Well, no, it's a fingerprint thing on the car.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I mean, I think I talked about this on the podcast a couple weeks ago when I was up in Detroit with GM, kind of demoing the Super Cruise and everything. And he was talking about how they're going to have, recognition built into the cars to determine whether or not you're sober. So it's only a matter of time before some sort of retina verification, fingerprint verification,
facial recognition, whatever it is, right? Like it's definitely coming. And that's kind of cool. It's a weird bit of technology I'm 100% here for. I really kind of like the sound of it.
100%.
All right. IndyCar in Toronto. I am sorry that you were not participating in it.
Here's the thing, man. My biggest disappointment, and it doesn't matter, but you brought it up and it made me sad.
Sorry.
Is like a consecutive streak is done, which I don't know that really matters or I care about, but it's sad to miss a race. I've never missed a race in my career. So,
how many starts do you have?
I have no idea.
Tim?
I'm gonna have to sign for a package.
I'll check. Let's find out.
Well, he signs for a package.
IndyCar Races has Alexander Rossi run.
I really hope the package that is arriving right now is a gag gift that we bought him.
He's run 142 races over 9 years.
So his streak stops at 142. Yeah, but it happens. Scott Dixon's missed races. Tony Kanaan's missed races. Although the Iron Men of the sport, it happens. I've missed plenty. We know that.
Why?
I stopped turning left. No, now you are muted. That's the funny part.
Honestly, that'll get you every time.
Every time, man. Every time you stop turning, it really ends poorly for us.
Yeah, sure does.
Didn't work for me. Didn't right. And for how many times you made fun of me for it? The fact you tried it, I don't know why you didn't just take my word for it. It's not good. It doesn't end well.
Listen, I know.
Learn the hard way. All right. So Toronto race on paper, boring because the front row finished 1-2. In reality, not boring. Quite a good race. Yeah, I guess Alex, you had like the bet. Wait, how did you get to watch it? What time is your surgery on Sunday?
My surgery was at 9 a.m. and I made it home just in time for the start.
So you were a little bit tail end of some of the anesthesia on that one.
I sure was. And man, I'm blown away at how tired I was for like 2 days afterwards. Anyways, the race was pretty interesting. Obviously I don't think anyone in the know is at all surprised that Colton was on pole and was the favorite to win the race just based on the Andretti street course performance and how he was performing all weekend. Really annoying that he got given this record of leading every single session when technically I did the same thing in 2019 or 2018 in Long Beach, but we had one extra practice session. So like, it's not the same, but like by the numbers, it's the same.
Right.
But whatever.
You led the same number of sessions, but
led the same number of sessions.
All the sessions because there was fewer
Correct.
sessions.
Correct. But yeah, he was a dominant car, obviously, to have Kyle on the front row and Felix third kind of just showed the Andretti kind of dominance throughout the weekend. But then the race, yeah, I mean, I was very impressed with the way that Kyle and Colton ran the race. It was clear that, Kyle was happy to finish second. And if an opportunity presented itself, whether in pit stops or exchanges or whatever, he would obviously not take the win. But I think you very clearly pointed out that there was something going on restarts where, that was not the time to be attacking each other and kind of just maintain your position and do that sort of thing. Much to Townsend's lack of understanding. I think you nailed that. And then, yeah, they brought it home, which was good to see for Colton. It's been a long time coming. He's had a rough stretch of bad luck with a lot of polls and no result to show for it. So I was happy for him. It was a crazy day for a lot of people, except Alex Palou, which, everyone had an opportunity to take a pretty big dent out of his championship this weekend, and including myself. We all threw that away pretty nicely. So
it's so funny, man. Like the exact same thing happened last year. Last year, he came here off the back of like 4 wins in 5 races, qualified 15th. Everyone's like, hey, perfect. Hits the wall, damages his wing, still comes home second. Like unbelievable. Here he started 18th, I think, and stayed out of trouble. Probably did a bunch of good undercuts and ended up P4. But Dixon was the same. Like Dixon, I think, started 15th and ended up 3rd.
Yeah. The Dixon one is typical Scott Dixon, right?
Very Scott Dixon.
I think there's a misconception that exists that since the hybrid has come out, there is now some form of equalizing technology in terms of the amount of fuel that goes in cars. That is not true at all. That is something that will come out in 2025. I'm not alluding to anything whatsoever, but let's not go down this rabbit hole of, since the hybrids come out, we are positive that everyone is the exact same, yada, 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 because that is a lie. What were you talking? But Scott just did typical Scott things. Like he managed
2
it
more
well.
laps of fuel and like
when he had the clean air, he ripped off huge laps and had mega pace even in 3rd. Like I think had there been, another stint, like obviously woulda, coulda, shoulda, but had there been another stint, like he was probably the fastest car on track that day and was the guy to beat, which is crazy to say considering all of the strength of the cars around him. He was still the guy that was the one. Yeah.
And also like not really having a ton of pace the rest of the weekend, right? I mean, it's not like, I don't know what his story was in qualifying. Obviously he's not a 15th place car, but like, the highest Ganassi car qualified 11th, 10th, 11th, something like that. So obviously it wasn't their strongest track, but those two, as always on race day, just pulled out amazing performances. So those two teammates had a great day. The Andretti teammates had a great day. Penske teammates, less so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Joseph had his own problems that were kind of separate, but then Power and McLaughlin got into it late in the race. Right off the bat, the McLaughlin call to start on used reds was very, very interesting. And by that, I mean bizarre. After warm up, again, even though you weren't there, I'm sure you're still dialed into everything with the team. it seemed very unclear at best what the tire situation was going to be. But while there was a combination of some people thinking prime race, some people thinking alternate, there was definitely more people thinking prime and a couple people being like, but maybe an alternate, yada, yada, yada. By starting on the used, man, you're committing to the 2 stints on the alternates, and a used alternate on the start when the track's the worst, not usually the way you do that. And it bit him real hard because he was running third early and had a good potential for a podium, but lost so much time in that first stint that he was just playing catch up.
So the only thing that I'll say to that is we have two different basically references of this championship, right? You have pre-hybrid and then you have post-hybrid. And so pre-hybrid, this tire we've talked about was designed for the hybrid. And so the alternate was last year's prime. So all of the races up until hybrid, like the alternate was the way to go. Okay.
Right.
We go to Mid-Ohio. It's a new surface, all this stuff, a lot of unknowns. How much does the surface play into it? Yada, yada, yada. A lot of people, myself included, were expecting the performance and the lap times to severely struggle in Toronto because this was the first time we were showing up to a track where there wasn't a new surface. Iowa, there was a new surface. Mid-Ohio, there was a new surface. Toronto was not a new surface, but we still have all this extra weight. Much to my surprise and my own, I was impressed by the fact that the lap times were actually were actually very close to last year. Is I think why they probably were suckered into believing that that was the right move, because it's very hard, James, in morning warm up to really understand what the red's going to do. It's always a heat cycled red. It's always a green track. It's always read. You never actually know because you get cold graining and it's not a fair representation of what the red tire is going to do. So they probably were like, okay, based on all these things, and historically this year, every street course race has been red heavy. Like that's not going to change because the pace isn't that much slower. The cars aren't that much slower and the tire is still harder than last year is probably how they got themselves into that situation. So it's understandable, not saying that it wasn't wrong, but like I can see how they got there.
No, for sure. I'm just surprised they didn't at least start on stickers to have the option to bail on that if it wasn't the thing. But the issue we're talking about is after a restart in turn 5, we'll try to look. Turn 5's you can do it there, especially on a restart. You've got to be up the guy's gearbox coming through 4 and kind of do a little bit of a late pull out to make it happen. Will came from fairly far back and look, he got alongside Scott. So on one hand, you're almost like, man, that was impressive. But then he locked the rears and fired Scott off into the wall while running in a podium position, which not great. Not a great look internally at old Team Penske. I wonder what the Sunday night debrief was like on that one.
I mean, here's the thing. I'm not saying that this wasn't completely Will's fault, because it was. But it's a little bit like I owed you one from Laguna. I mean, Scott shipped it in on Will pretty aggressively in turn 5 at Laguna, late move.
Right.
You can't give him that much of a hard time considering.
Yeah. No, but I imagine also in that one, it was a pretty serious team discussion. Here's the thing.
100%. Yeah.
Between two rival team guys, yeah, he owed him one, fine. But on the same team, when I'm sure they got sat down and was like, hey, number 1 rule in racing, don't hate your teammate. Number 2 rule in racing, don't date your teammate's sister. I'm surprised that Will kind of went for that lunge at that time, but Scott was understandably upset and stood at the trackside to give him a little applause on the way by, which I love seeing that stuff. I love seeing the emotion of IndyCar racing. It's great. But I don't remember if it was this restart or not, but we should kind of wrap up with discussion on the red flag that we had. Is it the first red flag of the year, Alex? I'm trying to remember if we've had one somewhere else. I can't think of another one.
I think we have. Didn't we have one at St. Pete? No,
I don't
that was
know.
23.
I don't think we did this year. Yeah, that was the big one in 23. So I think first one of the year. It was like 13 laps to go, and it was a massive, massive crash. It was on a restart. Pato was, salvaging a decent day and just got in a little bit hot. So I want to talk about that actually real quick, because it did seem like, so turn 8, where you had your incident, there were lots of incidents that were eerily similar to yours in terms of a driver, quote unquote, getting in hot isn't even fair. It's just being half a car width, maybe offline, and there being no grip out there. It has the same traits almost as like the repaves at Road America, Laguna, Mid-Ohio, where offline it was super, super slick, which, look, I get it's a street circuit, but it seemed even for that, it was extreme this year for some reason.
Hard to say. It's when I crashed, it was still very early in the weekend, so you wouldn't imagine that there would be that much grip anywhere else. Pato's was an instant of he was under pressure. He had done quite a few laps on the prime, was pushing to try and get a run. Very tricky braking zone, cold tires, kind of locked the rears a little bit, and that is all she wrote, sort of thing. So I don't know if they're apples to apples in the sense that mine was cold tires, probably being a little bit too greedy, missed the turn in by a little bit, that sort of things. So maybe it's the same. I don't know. But one went in nose first. The other one went in kind of rear end first. But I think the situation is the cars are certainly a little bit more fragile in kind of the unstable braking zones than they have been, just because the extra weight, everyone's dealing with that. But bumpy braking zones that are downhill, whatever, like the rear's moving a little bit more. So you don't have that necessary, like that shoulder that you would want to lean on to know that, okay, the grip's there and the speed's at the right point to get the angle in the corner right. So maybe that's some of it, but honestly, something everyone's dealing with. So it's not really an excuse for any of us that got it wrong, because there was a lot of people that didn't. But I think the bigger issue is obviously what you were getting to. And that's a very minor mistake, which, probably should have taken out himself and maybe Marcus, because Marcus is just unlucky being the first guy to arrive on the scene there, turned into what must have been millions of dollars in damage. And I know for Arrow McLaren, 2 written off race cars for really no reason.
Nolan's was a write-off too, eh?
Nolan's was a write-off too, which, including my incident in Iowa, that's 3 cars in 6 days, which is tough.
Though Zach had a pretty good day Sunday anyway.
Yeah, and it started okay, I guess. It didn't end as well. So Pato has his moment. Marcus gets in there, and then 3 cars in succession, Fittipaldi, then Ferrucci, then Siegel pile in to the 5 just sitting there. Ferrucci having the most dramatic ride of the group. And I got to say, the safety fence did an incredible job. It did exactly what it was supposed to do, because he got airborne, hit the fence with the bottom of the car, and it just kind of bounced him right back into the racetrack, which is what it's supposed to do. And then, the hardest hit was Nolan, even though he was the last guy there, just kind of broadside on Pato. And that was a tough one to watch.
I've seen some people that have said online they threw the yellow too late, and that could have been a contributing factor. Would you guys agree with that?
Wholeheartedly.
Based on what you could see, look, you don't have all the information when you're watching on TV. And I don't know if Alex, you guys have talked about this internally at the team or whatever, or done your own analysis. We try to look at it on the TV side from when the dash lights came on from Pato's onboard.
It was 5.2 seconds from the time that Pato made impact with a wall to when a yellow flag was displayed.
Right, which at the exit of a blind corner on a street circuit seems like it's too much time, right? Now, I will say...
It seems like it's a lot of time when there's impact with a wall.
Right.
Is I guess, the bigger point.
Right, because he's on the racing line, right? He's right where... It's not like he spun to the inside and was kind of offline. He was sitting on the exit wall. But one of the things that people need to remember too, right? So Fittipaldi comes through. I don't know what information he had or didn't have, right? But he is the kind of the first guy to clip Pato. The two behind him are so close behind him. And when you're that close behind an Indy car, big rear wings on them, you cannot see anything. So Fitty had enough gap to at least kind of see there was a car there. But I can tell you that Ferrucci and Siegel, they saw nothing until they hit it. And there's nothing that those drivers could have done, to avoid those impacts. Once again, second week in a row, we can say the aero screen did a lot of good. The way that Ferrucci's car ramped up a Pato's car, if there wasn't an aero screen or a halo on that, who knows? The landing that Ferrucci then had, who knows? So again, big props to IndyCar on the safety and everything that they've put into this car. We're going to say it every time, guys. Every time we see it happen. We had it in Iowa. We had it again this weekend. It was great. Great to see all the drivers were okay. But yeah, it was a bad deal. And I wonder if there's any kind of review going on internally. I don't know if IndyCar has said anything about the yellow. Have you seen anything?
I have not. But I think it's a tough situation for IndyCar, obviously, because in these moments, it's very easy to point the finger. I don't know that 5.2 seconds is like offensive. Like that's a grotesque amount of time. Like that seems like it's pretty quick. But then again, it's like, were they aware? What we'll never know, I guess, is were they aware of the contact, but waiting to see if he could refire? Because that's the thing that's become now kind of standard with the latest race control, and even more so now with the hybrids, right? It's okay. And there's a lot to be said for this. And this isn't a negative comment at all, where race control is holding yellows in certain instances to ensure that they are not affecting the outcome of the race. Like, I think that is all their heart is in the right place there. That's fine, right? It's each situation is unique. It's very easy to Monday morning quarterback these things, but their heart is in the right place.
Right.
Then you fast forward to the introduction of the hybrid and this ability that we now have to restart ourselves. So in IndyCar's defense, they are trying to give cars the opportunity and time to get turned around in a runoff, refire themselves, all this stuff without exposing personnel, which means you can cover things with the local yellow and you don't have to go full course and all this stuff. So they're holding for that now as well. But I think we're getting to at one point there's got to be a limit, right? Like you can only hold a yellow for so long. Obviously, this one was one where you shouldn't have held it at all. What we don't know from race control is, did they even have the camera angle to see Pato at this point? Like you don't know what they had. Were they even looking at it? Were they watching the leaders out of turn 2? Like who knows, right? I think there's something like, I think the marshals should hold some responsibility here and not just race control. Like the marshals, as much as we have all of these electronic panels and lights in the car and all this stuff, still the marshals are standing there with flags in their hands. When they see a car wreck, they should be waving yellow flags. I didn't see any of those. So like, this isn't all on race control.
No.
But I guess my point is saying that like the reason that we're doing all of these things to try and reduce the number of yellows is something that we've all asked for. It's something that fans are super critical of. We were all pissed off in Detroit with how long the yellows were because cars were seemingly very minor contact or no contact, and it was taking 6 laps to get refired and reordered and all this sort of thing. So these are all things that we've asked for. It turns out that this was a very unfortunate sequence of events that damaged a lot of race cars and ruined a lot of people's days. But I don't think there was a screw up in race control, if that makes sense.
No. In the same way that teams and drivers are learning with this hybrid system every time they go out on track, race control is also learning, right? They're learning what procedures and protocols work or don't work with this. And I think you're spot on, man. I completely agree. I think a lot of the motivation for trying to leave it green is to see if a car can fire up and avoid the yellow. You can play the hindsight game for sure. You know, Pato's right rear was folded in. He wasn't going anywhere. But again, like you say, if you weren't watching that particular camera angle at that particular time, then it'd be harder to know that that's what happened.
That's why I truly feel like this one, the yellow delay that existed is more on Marshall's than anyone else because they're right there.
So here's the other thing. Most teams, I feel like at this point, travel with spotters even to road courses. And I got to think that most of the spotters are in turn one.
No, so they're all on top of Hotel X and they can't see turn one because of like the tree line and stuff.
Got it. Okay.
So it's just a perfect storm.
Yeah,
it
basically.
was. Yeah.
But the thing that I will say is I feel like once Ericsson got fired in there as well, but again, I mean, he didn't hit anything really, so he could have backed out and kept going and kept a yellow from happening. Yeah, it's a tough one. Honestly, it is.
I mean, if you watch the video, as soon as Fittipaldi had contact, there was a yellow. At that point, it was far too late for Santino or Nolan to do anything.
No.
So that's not, again, their fault. But there should have been, in my mind, and whether the driver saw it or not, there should have been a yellow flag waving on the entry of one.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. And I don't know if there was or not. I haven't seen any video or anything, but
I saw Santino's on board and there was not. So
you couldn't see one. Yeah.
I couldn't see.
All right. So there's that. The last thing I just want to cover on the race is the fact that Teo filled in for you and had to fly the hoops that had to be jumped through to get him back in the States or in Canada, back in North America from Europe, and get him in the car. First laps of Toronto, first laps in a hybrid, all happened in qualifying. And he stayed out of trouble and finished 14th. I think that's pretty respectable, all things considered. But it was, I can't imagine, like, after everything that your team's dealt with and been through on the driver's side, to then have to call him up and be like, hey, so I know you just flew back to France and we just benched you for the year, but could you come back real quick? We need a little favor. It must have been an interesting phone call to make. But again, I think it was the right call. I mean, I know there were a lot of drivers available and there were some guys that were on site, but he obviously knows the team. Team had all his stuff. Didn't know the track, but I thought I did a really good job, and I just wanted to give credit where credit was due on that one.
Top finishing McLaren.
Only finishing McLaren, but yeah.
Yeah.
Too soon?
It was the only one that was running. Yep.
Yeah. Hard, yeah. All right, so big break, guys. Big break. Olympics are here. Alex is going to be busy practicing his thumb exercises for the next little while.
That's why he's got a wife, right?
Guys, if you thought I played Mario Kart a lot before breaking my thumb,
great point.
Buckle up. That's the best training tool.
I get into Indy tonight. Let's go.
So what you need to do is you need to take your remote and have like 4 elastic bands from different angles all wrapped around the joystick just to increase the resistance on it and help you build up your strength.
Dude, I think considering I can move the little guy, I think we're going to be okay.
I think you're going to be just fine.
I have a small announcement.
I love how they, whatever, Tim. I love how they draw a smiley face on it and they write yes on my arm as if like, oh no, we're not going to operate on the one that has a brace.
Bro, there are horror stories of literally doing like they do major surgeries
much for a reason.
On the wrong leg. Like it's terrifying to think, but that happens.
So they cut it open. They're like, this looks pretty good. Guess we'll sew him back up.
Nothing to do here. Looks great. Man, he heals quick. These athletes.
And we're sure we're amputating? Okay.
Yeah. Dude, that has happened. They have chopped off the wrong limb before. It's a real thing. Anyway, Tim, yes. We don't want to hear about your belly aching because your surgery was ages ago. It's not. You're not even the most recent person.
I'm not even the most recent one here. Yeah.
Right. So, what's your other news?
Yeah, I'll keep it short because I know we're over time. But on the way to Alex's bachelor party, drunk on a flight to Colombia, I wrote a kid's book based on Macbeth.
That's when you wrote it?
Yep. For anybody wondering, Macbeth. Not super suited for kids. A lot of murders.
Neither is Columbia.
A little, yeah, fair. So I wrote Macbeth for kids. It's not suitable for kids because there's decapitation, there's suicide, there's murders.
Yeah, but you drew it all very delicately. Yeah. So I think it's not terrible.
It took a few months to illustrate it, but illustrated it myself. And it is now on Amazon and for sale. So if anybody would like to buy Macbeth for kids, you should.
We will post a link.
Broke.
We will post a link in on our social channels and what have you.
That was a bad pitch. I'm not good at pitching.
No, you're not. You're not. You're much better at writing. But no, it is good. I've seen it. It's funny. It is entertaining. It is not travel size, but hey, that's fine.
It's big.
But no, look, kids can learn.
I went with the 12:9 option.
It's a great introduction to Shakespeare for those that are interested. So congrats, Tim,
get it for your English teacher friends.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's my target demographic. Middle school English teachers.
Perfect. If you know a middle school English teacher, this is a great Christmas gift or 40th gag gift or whatever. Buy them. The link will be online. And is it just called Macbeth for Kids if people want to just search it on Amazon?
The full title is William Shakespeare's The Tragedy of Macbeth for Kids. Because somebody actually tried in earnest to write Macbeth for kids, and I'm very curious. I feel like I need to buy that.
You didn't buy that and read it as part of your research.
I just figured it out yesterday as I was uploading it to Amazon.
Fair. All right. Well, I want to leave with this. I know we've mentioned this a couple times this year already. Toronto once again blew me away with the fan feedback on this show. The number of people that came up to us in Toronto to say they were fans of the show was both humbling and terrifying.
Yeah, people asking how I was feeling before Alex stole my thunder.
Yeah, exactly. Tim signing autographs, taking photos. We had two very enthusiastic young fans that had found Alex, had found me, but hadn't found Tim. And so I was trying to give them tips on how and when to find you. I also did tell them to play up their fandom a little bit just to make you as uncomfortable as possible, which I'm totally did. And I appreciated that. But the other thing is just how incredibly wide our demographic is. We have pretty much the entire spectrum of people covered, and it makes me so happy. We're an advertiser's dream.
So advertise with us.
So give us money.
Yeah. So give us money because it doesn't really matter if you're appealing to 16-year-old girls or to, 82-year-old guys. We have everything in between. It's a very nice demographic. So thank you to the fans for listening. Sorry, this one ran long. Enjoy your break, gentlemen. And we'll be back next week. I have no. Oh, there's an F1 race. We can talk about that. Oh, yeah, there was one this week. McLaren were one, too. Congrats. Oh, we'll talk about that next week, too, because I want to hear your opinion on that.
Anyway, buy my book.